everybody, welcome back. This episode is going to consist of finishing up fabrication, then we're diving right into plumbing. So we are going to be working on brake hard lines from the master to the bulkhead I'm mounting on the chassis, and then we're going to be working on power steering lines, pressure and return lines to the cooler, and then and the power steering pump, of course. We got oil cooler lines, we have water lines to the heater core. I am rerouting my catch can and using also a PVC catch can, and steam port kit. All right, we're gonna tackle that. I think I've got some stuff in here for that. And then at the very end, I find accusump in my attic. I had a whole kit, a Amoroso kit from a previous build that I didn't use. Totally slipped my mind. Was up there looking for something else and found it and said, you know what, why not? So build brackets and lay it out and really talk about what it is and why I would use it. So let's go. Turn the camera around, we'll get started. All right, folks. Well, I know this probably is a little odd to see. I'm using washers as spacers, and I'm just gonna weld the dog snot out of it. Slots. But it's like 3/16 quarter-inch stuff. It's pretty heavy. So if you can look from the side profile, I'd kind of shape that top piece, get this thing burned in, and then drill these two holes, and then kind of lay out the hooks. This gnarly, it's not as heavy as I thought it would be, but I'm gonna look at this again. Let's weld it out and see what I come up with. All right, here it is, all welded up. I don't know, it's not that important. It's just something that I kind of envisioned, like, man, it'd be really convenient. Now that ain't going nowhere. Ta-da! All right, so I picked my next challenge, which is gonna be plumbing the car. Before I take my oil cooler down and everything, I'm gonna plumb that. Same with my power steering, and same with my brake lines. And then what I ended up doing, I'll show you that. I mean, my Camaro was different. Everything was exposed. It wasn't as tight. So I'm marking everything, like, so when I pull the body off, I have a good idea of where I'm gonna run everything. A lot of it's OEM, brake line, running the driver's side. Got my hydraulic disconnect. I got my fuel line. Running here. It's gonna go up here, and then yada yada. I'm starting to get out all of my hoses, and let's get to work and see how this goes. All right. Well, what you just saw there is kind of me going through and making a good decision, right? So complete transparency, I bought some stuff online, shocker. I looked for the cheapest stuff and I bought it. And I'm just not willing to risk it. I've risked it before and it worked okay, but in this particular case, I wanted something a little bit better quality. So let me show you what I bought. All right, so what you're looking at is the variety of fittings. For the exception of a few of these are just some cheap online Chinese, I wouldn't say junk, but it's questionable at best, right? But dash 4, 6, and 10, all the stuff for oil, power steering, fuel, and then nylon, braided line for oil, same for fuel, some PTFE, some high pressure stuff for my pressure side of the power steering pump. Steering box fittings, just everything, even clamps, and then these were something I was meaning to get. But this is, I think, it's safe to say that when you're dealing with flammable or high pressure fluids, don't chance it. Don't chance it to the bulk Chinese stuff. The tolerances aren't as good. They're not as close. And I'll show you what I'm talking about here in a second. All right, so these fittings are super cheap fittings that I got online. And albeit they look fine, they went together fine, this is what I'm dealing with. Okay. Now, is that sealed? Is it gonna leak? you know, I don't know, but I'm certainly suspect. So I'm not even gonna bother, right? I mean, of course I'm not gonna bother. I'm just gonna replace them with a name brand fitting that I could trust. Now again, I have used some of these fittings before and have been successful, but this is just too much for me, so I'm not willing to do that. And I don't think anybody would necessarily, unless money was absolutely the limiting factor here. So in this particular case, I can afford to go out and buy some better fittings right now, so I just did it. My heart's in the right place. I just, sometimes when you're building these things, you know, trial and error. You don't know unless you try it, and I tried it, and I'm not cool with it. So let's get these pulled off. I'm also going to go with the nylon as opposed to the stainless. So change these lines out and get back to work. What are you doing, buddy? You working on your mower? Yeah, a little maintenance, a little service. Yeah, I would do that too. Happy? He found a pulley I'm not using, and he wants a pulley on his lawnmower, which makes absolutely no sense unless you're 4 years old. What?
All right, here we go.
What are we doing?
We'll get out of the pool.
So I wonder what Mom's gonna think about this. Hold on. Ready? Oh, I think we might have gotten lucky. What do you think? You happy? Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Come on. Jump. Hold on. You gotta do it till it's tight. Keep going, all the way. Now tighten it as tight as you can get it. That way. It's shoulder bolts. And I didn't have any spacers, but I made them. We're good. All right, what do you think? You good?
I want to grab something.
You just did.
No, something is stuck.
Okay, come here. All right, well, I went ahead and laid this out a little better. Before it was kind of pitched up. Anyways, it looks a lot better. I feel like it's in a better spot. Here are my connections, really clean. And then, like I said, I'll tie these together, put some wrap on it. Got room for my knock sensor, headers. I mean, this should be pretty far away, I think. I got a primary that hits in here somewhere close to. Anyways, I think I got plenty of room. And yeah, moving on. Just wanted to get a good look at it. So, all right, little update. Got everything routed, I believe, the way that I like it. Let's start here. Power steering. So got my pressure side. This may be backwards, but either way, I can flip them. I think that the back side is pressure. Either way, all of my return lines are just a standard nylon braided, correct fittings, O-ring fittings come out of the box. Oh man, I should probably pull that out. Probably get a better look at it. Bottom line is I got everything laid out the way that I want it, so it looks. So here's, I'll probably put another little clamp, not a clamp, but just something to gather and keep those lines tight together. 90s, I think they're 100 degree coming out of there, and I got a couple of 100 degree. You can't see them, but you can see the two power steering lines going down. The pressure side, I just mounted the top of the radiator, trying to keep it out of the way so it's not like just running across here somewhere, right? So it's all personal preference. I'm gonna get like a 45 here, and that'll be pressure. Had to put a little riser on it. So that's oil, power steering. Steam, I figured I got all this laid out. I made this little bracket to lay this down because this is really for with this cover, and I don't want to lose the cover. So anyways, these are prefab lines from Motion, and then I just got a little push fitting, some Russell push PVC line, or rubber line rather, and just snaked it under there, and it'll route underneath my water hose. Next thing I'm working on is my 12AN line. Once I get this done, the motor will be plumbed, and I can go to fuel and brakes. So, and I got everything taped like I showed you. We'll be able to pull the body off. Meanwhile, I'm going to take all of this, all of that, all those little things over there, and we're going to take them to powder coat and drop those things off so we can start getting some things finished up. So keep plugging away. Bright and early. Oh, don't do that. Oh my God, grabs my DeWalt. Like I'm a proud father for that. Yeah, pretty cool. Anyways, it's about 7 o'clock on a Saturday morning. Just doing a little inventory, trying to reroute the oil, my catch can. So if I want to put AC on the front of the car, which will inevitably probably have it, I can put it.
Hey, Daddy, can you drill with me?
Yes, I can drill with you. Hold on. All right, I'm not sure where we're at in this video, but here we are. Working on brakes, working on hard lines from the master down to the frame. I've created a bracket and some bulkheads, some 3N bulkheads to go from my master, and then basically piece off of that. I won't bore you, but I will tell you, this is one of a few. So when you're working on layout and all this stuff, like for me, I have to literally see it like 1, 2, 3 different ways to get an idea as to how I want to run everything. And this is just one side. My last set of brake lines I ran, I put that traditional OEM coil in there. That was a little too much. So essentially what I've got is this is a finish line, right? And the coil is just for flexibility, you know what I mean? So, and then of course the spraying and the cover is just to make sure that they don't rub together or anything like that, because they are pretty close. I'll be putting that throughout as well, so it eliminates chafing on the brake line. And I use the copper nickel. Like, if you're okay with the color, which I don't give a shit, I think it's fine. Very easy to bend, very easy to manipulate. Stainless is a lot harder, but you know, stainless also looks a lot better. So just don't need it. Anyways, get back to work. All right, here's the hard line set up out of the master. So I've got banjo bolts to 3AN tube fittings, which is a 37-degree flare, into a copper nickel 3/16 line, into a 3AN bulkhead, one going to the front, one going to the back. A little bracket I made. Why is that not? There we go. And it doesn't look bad. Got access here if I ever need to service this. Looks real clean. So now I can run the rest of my brake lines. I have a start and a finish to every wheel, every brake, every block. And I will now shift from the 37-degree flare to a standard brake line flare. So I'll do 37-degree flares off of these bulkheads, and then the rest is back to traditional brake flare. So keep plugging away. All right, next on the list is, strangely enough, accusump, an oil accumulator, which I hadn't talked really anything about. So up in the attic this morning, looking for something I was selling on Marketplace. Couldn't find that, but I found a tote full of all this old equipment that I purchased for this old car I had that I never used. And it was essentially, well, I'll just turn it around and show you. Now I got the fan on because it's 400 degrees in here. But anyways, so Amoroso accumulator kit. This is a 3-quart kit. The long and short is that this is all about oil provisions. If you lose oil pressure, there's a pressure switch that opens up a valve. There's like a 7 to 10 pound charge of just air putting pressure on oil that's in this can that'll push it through the system if it detects lower than whatever you set the temperature at, pressure at. So anyways, I had originally bought this for a big block. So I got these bypass plates and a filter relocation kit, but inevitably what you get, and it's like $600-700. I mean, I spent this a long time ago, but you get a pressure relief valve. Don't mind all that. That was for power steering, but you get the accumulator. You get way back there. You get a bunch of hose. Well, I bought that separate. You get a backflow valve that just allows. This sits right in front of the incoming accumulator oil, right? So you'll have your T here. Oil will come in, vert to the inbound port above the bypass that I have in there for the cooler. This will not allow it back into the cooler. It'll go directly into the car. So anyways, yeah, this is where I'm at with everything. I saw it, hadn't even considered putting one on this car, although, man, I mean, why wouldn't I, considering what I'm doing with the car? Some people call it a poor man's dry sump. It's really more than that. It's safety. It can save your motor. If you lose an oil pump, this can detect that very quickly, push oil into the motor. If you have a low pressure setting on your ECU, it'll shut down the motor, and while it's trying to figure that out, it'll oil the motor, right? So anyways, there's all kinds of reasons, right? Long sweepers on a road course. You know, if you're dropping oil pressure over the course of a lap, this is going to fluctuate. Amoroso has a great video on this if you really want to learn about what it actually does, why it does it, and how it works. So, but let me show you where I got to put it. So I went ahead and put my regulator, an additional 30 micron filter. This is actually a regulator and filter, but redundancies, right? Never a bad idea to be safe than sorry. Anyways, this is where I'm going to put it. This is where I have room. I don't have any more room in the engine compartment. It's going right here. So I have to build a bracket. All right, so let's check out what I got so far. All right, this is pretty heavy sheet metal. This is what I built the spoiler out of on my C5. Had a bunch of sheet metal extra. This is from the rocker insert, another bracket built from that extra material. This is what I came up with. All right. After quite a few hours of work, I mowed my neighbor's lawn too, so I'm pretty smoked. But made concessions for fuel lines that are going into the top side. Ooh, there they are. All right. Again, regulator, filter, 30 micron filter. Everything's laid out. 3-quart accusump, fab bracket. Drilled and tapped the actual frame. There's no nut certs in here. And then I got nuts welded onto the back side here. And then I've got nylocks up top just to secure, just, you know, whatever. Anyways, that's it for the accusump or amoroso accumulator. We'll route. I've got a couple of marked areas where I'm going to run 10 AN, okay? Remember, you have a solenoid that's going to relieve valve or open a valve when the pressure gets low. 35, whatever I set it to on the Terminator. I think I can do that. I may pull this analog gauge and put a pressure sensor there, and then that'll all be managed through the computer. And then I just got to figure out routing. I think I'm going to go under the axle. I don't have a ton of choices. I'm not running it through the cap. So anyways, that's something I can figure out on final. Yeah, that's quite a few projects wrapped up. Still working on brake lines. But I think that's it for right now. Tackled a bunch of stuff, I think, on this video. Just compiled a bunch of projects that I wrapped up. Getting close. Can't really think of what's next. I think I'm gonna try to button up brake lines before I pull the body off and then run all my gas lines or my fuel lines the way I want them. So I can put my clamps in and lay that all out correctly. And then it'll be, you know, get my stuff back, lay out the harness. I think that's the route I'm going. So we're gonna try to get all systems purged, filled, everything done. Get the car started running, get the brakes working, get the transmission shifting. I don't want to drive it. I don't want to drive it because then I might not finish it. Anyways, but I know I'm just talking out the side of my neck here. But anyways, thanks everybody for watching. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.